The Cheeseboy 628 Show, starring Cheeseboy 628.
Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy 628 here today, giving you an OU tier Wi-Fi battle. And yes, this is still some 5th gen content. There's a bit more 5th gen that I'd like to get in before I fully go into 6th gen. If you'd like to know what I'm doing with 6th gen, or you'd like to give me some suggestions 6th gen related, be sure to check out what I have to say after the battle. So anyway, this was a battle I had in a small tournament on the Exact Chat a while back. I'm using my boy Watercolors Sand Team, being specially defensive Heatran, defensive Lando T, Sashed Alakazam, Scarf Garchomp, E-Belt, Rotom Wash, and Banded T-Tar. Now looking at my opponent's team, my biggest trouble is just going to be trying to tear down that Skarmory, Tentacruel, Umbreon core, because those are all very stealthy pokes and they all counter each other's weaknesses very well. So I do have pokes to counter it, but I just need some nice predictions. So let's see how this battle goes. So I start off with my Lando T, so I can just get Rocks up first turn, and I know he has Tentacruel, but if I get Rocks up to bait out the Tentacruel, maybe I'll have a chance to maybe go for an EQ or some very strong physical move to weaken that Tentacruel, therefore weakening his core. The problem is he starts out with Skarmory, and my team does not have a spinner, so I want as few hazards on the field as possible. He goes for one layer of spikes as I bring in my Rotom Wash. He doesn't know what kind I am yet, but I'm pretty free to just go for the Volt Switch right now. But he could be that guy that brings in Garchomp on the predicted Volt Switch, but thankfully he's not that guy. Plus it could have HP Ice, he doesn't know. But he does bring in the obvious Umbreon, and now it's going to go right to my Lando T. He doesn't know what kind I am yet. I could just be a very aggressive form with Stealth Rocks, even though I am defensive, so we're just going to see what he goes into. So he does bring in Skarmory on my Stealth Rocks here, and so I'm just going to be able to go for the U-turn now. Since I have my hazards up, I'm able to bait at the Tentacruel eventually, and that would be very nice to maybe get off some nice damage on it. Now, this Skarmory gets off a second layer of spikes, and this is pretty crucial since my team doesn't have a ton of levitators or flyers, so they're definitely going to take some nice residual damage from all these hazards. So I go for the Volt Switch, nearly take out the Skarmory. I am E-Belt, it was a super effective hit obviously, and unfortunately Skarmory just has a bit of bulk to it. So he actually goes for the Roost. And this isn't looking good for me because Skarmory is very difficult to take down, and without Rotom Wash, I don't have much of a way to do it. Even now Alakazam is pretty unreliable since Focus Blast is probably my best bet. But I go for the Stone Edge and don't take out the Skarmory. Oh, it was so very close. So very close. But it's going to live and just be at even better health than it was before. I can keep going for Stone Edges, hope that I hit and hope that I crit. But I am not so fortunate to do such, but he decides to get his final layer of spikes up instead of roosting, so this is pretty fortunate for me as long as I hit the Stone Edge. Thankfully I do, and that Skarmory finally goes down, but not without getting all of his layers of spikes up, so this is not fun for me. Especially since he brings in Conkeldurr, that is a threat. I have to go out right to Lando T. It's a pretty decent counter to his Conkeldurr as long as he doesn't have Ice Punch, but I don't know yet. He is a bulk upset of course, and he doesn't seem to have the Toxic Orb or Flame Orb. He just does have the lefties, which will counteract the Sandstorm, so he'll be fairly difficult to take down pretty soon. So here I'm just going to go for the U-turn, and I can go right into my Rotom Wash, kind of as death fodder if he so decides to go for the Drain Punch, but I also want to scout for the Ice Punch, which he does carry it. Now I can get off a pretty nice and powerful Hydro Pump here. The only issue is from that range he's probably able to survive one since it's unboosted, since I only have E-Belt and not like Specs. So I'm going to decide to go for the Volt Switch. It's probably the most optimal play, and he actually does switch out to Umbreon, which gives me some nice momentum. This Umbreon is at half health, which is huge because his Skarmory's gone, so he has nothing to take this huge physical hit, and so he's probably going to have to just fodder something. So he is actually going to withdraw his Umbreon. He's going to go into Tentacruel, which probably won't take the hit too well. Sure, it can be physically powerful, but let's see how well it takes this superpower. It takes it alright, it's about a third of damage, and it was a resisted hit. So if I went for Crunch there, it probably would have been in red health. But nonetheless, I just go for the safe superpower because Umbreon is a nuisance to take out. So here I'm just going to go into Lando T. This was my goal, to try baiting out this Tentacruel so it can go for the spin. I can just be free to go for the EQ. Turns out it actually goes for the Skull, which does a decent amount, but it doesn't do too much, although I am a minus SPDF nature because I do carry the HP ice, so I take it pretty well for that case. But here I'm just going to go for the EQ, and I am able to take out the Tentacruel, which is really nice because the only part of his defensive core left is Umbreon, and I'm feeling pretty confident that just about any of my pokes are able to take Umbreon out from the half health that it has left. Now, he brings in Garchomp, he goes for the Dragon Claw, and he's actually able to take me out, and I'm pretty defensive, so I'm kind of suspicious if it's banded potentially. I'm not entirely sure by the damage, but here I do bring in my Garchomp to scare him out. I don't know if he's scared of the speed tie or that he's actually slower, but I'm able to just go for the outrage, and I am able to take out that Umbreon. So his defensive core is completely gone, so I'm pretty free just to destroy the rest of his team. Here I'm just going to go for the outrage once again. He does bring in Conkeldurr. Can he survive? Yes, he does. He survives with the red health, and he goes for the Drain Punch instead of the Ice Punch, which I guess in this case doesn't matter since he crits me. So I'm not sure if that crit mattered. It probably did since he's unboosted, but hey, it's not a big deal. He gets Rough Skin, he gets Sandstorm, but lefties bring him up after Sandstorm. So he's at about half health, a little bit less, and here I can just bring in Rotom Wash, and I am free to go for the Hydro. And so I'm going to do a ton of damage to that Garchomp. Psych, I miss. Gosh, dang it. But it's alright. From this range, I should be able to take a Dragon Claw from Garchomp. No, I don't. And so I'm kind of suspicious still. I really don't know. He could just outspeed naturally, of course. And here I'm just going to see if he's locked in. I'm really hoping he is. Otherwise, if he goes for the EQ, I'm in trouble. So I'm just free to go for the Lava Plume if he does decide to switch out, which he does. And so I'm able to take out that Conkeldurr without any crits or anything. So now my Heatran's sitting pretty nicely, and he brings in Garchomp, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I could use this Heatran a little bit for later, so I'm going to go into T-Tar. T-Tar after Spikes isn't going to do anything for my team anymore, so I'm perfectly fine with sacking it to an EQ. So now here I'm going to decide to go into my Alakazam because no matter what, I do have the Sash, so I'm able to take any hit this Garchomp has to give me, and I do carry the HP Ice. Now he brings in Sceptile here for some reason, and it's kind of weird seeing as the HPS is really obvious, and I'm able to take him out, but with a crit. And I believe with the Calc he would have survived with a little bit, but like I said, I am sashed, and here you'll notice that it won't matter because I will outspeed, so he must have been banded, and I can take him out with that HP Ice for a solid 3-0 victory. So that was the game, and I hope you all enjoyed. Now talking about X and Y. I do not have the actual game yet, but do I want to? Absolutely. Am I going to add some 6th Gen content to this channel? Absolutely. I'm definitely into that. I'm already doing some PS Lives with 6th Gen, as you're going to see tomorrow as well. I'll definitely be adding some 6th Gen showdown battles really soon, although there are a couple 5th Gen battles I do want to show before it's officially done with. So with that said, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel to leave any feedback in the comment section below. You can PM me, you can add me on Skype at CheeseBoy62 and ask me questions there, anything you'd like. So thank you all for watching, like, comment, sub, and until later, peace.